of Israel, and maybe if we also get to the value of planting in Eretz Yisrael, planting trees, fruit trees in Eretz Yisrael. Amazing sources. So first about the fruits. In Shmot, that we're reading this week's parasha, talks about the man. It says the children of Israel ate the man for 40 years until they're coming to inhabited land. They ate the man until they're coming to the edge of the land of Canaan. So what does it say twice here? The redundance. They ate the man for 40 years until they came to inhabited land. And they ate the man until they came to the... What is this extra... It seems to be twice redundant. The rabbis talk about that in Kedushin and explain that the man stopped. When did the man stop? Falling? Or yeah, but what day? We know it was the Zayin Adar, when Moshe Rabbeinu died. Mm-hmm. The man stopped. But there was a miracle that they continued eating from what they gathered on the 7th of Adar, till they entered Eretz Yisrael, Tet Zayin Nisan, till the day after Pesach. They entered the land of Israel, and they ate, what the verse says, till they ate from the land. Also in Yehoshua, the same redundancy in chapter 5. The verse says they ate whatever till they ate from the land, the produce of the land. In other words, they had the man, that usually what happens the day after? What happens to the man if they keep it over? Worms, rots, spoils. Here there was a miracle that God did to what they had on the 7th of Adar, would stay in their vessels, I say, and stay fresh for 40 days till they came to Eretz Yisrael and ate from the food of Eretz Yisrael. The question, why wasn't the necessity of that miracle? The Al-Shech HaKadosh, it says why Hashem could give them, there was wheat from the Arvot Moab, from the Moab valley and deserts, whatever. There are also places that there was wheat available. He says no. Okay, there was other things available. Ratzah, Kadosh Baruch Hu. You have it. The sheets. I'll give you the sheets and you can see it with me. Source number 4. This is from the Al-Shech HaKadosh, one of the giants living in the time of the Arizal and the Beit Yosef in Tzfat. He's one of the 5 that we know that are called the HaKadosh, the Holy. It says for his drashot, for his Shabbos lectures, he used to sit in the, I don't know, in the front row, whatever. He used to come to hear the Beit Yosef and the Arizal would come to hear his. There's a Beit Knesset, no? The Beit Knesset Al-Shech HaKadosh in Tzfat. So what does he explain? If you see in line number 8, Sheratzah Kadosh Baruch Hu she'yavo mikodesh lekodesh. They could have eaten other wheat that was available, but God wanted them to go from kodesh to kodesh. Kodesh. In other words, from holy food to holy food. Number 5. Number 4. The 4th source. Number 4. Line number 8. To go from holy to holy. What does that mean, to go from the holy to holy? In other words, they went from the man, which was bread from heaven. He says the bread, the wheat that would have come outside the land of Israel, would have come through the foreign lands, and what comes out of those lands, impurity, the food, the fruits, nurture from the land, would be not worthy for those that are about to receive the Torah, or to go into Eretz Yisrael. So he says God wanted them to go from holy food, so to speak, to holy food. Holy food from the man, consistently with nothing in the middle, no break of unholy, unworthy food, until they got to the Eretz Yisrael and had the holy food of Eretz Yisrael.
Okay, so you're saying that throughout the Exodus, where we couldn't find
for those 40 years
on the floor or something, or
apparently
nothing.
No, we were worthy only that food. That the man is something very special. The Ibn Ezra said it's a bigger miracle than all the other miracles. For 40 years, a miracle. But that's the question. There's a machloket. Do you say Hamotzi lecha min hashamayim? As one of the rabbis say, the Rami Panov. Hamotzi lecha min hashamayim. Take bread out of the heavens. Because it says the light, the divine, the spiritual energy, the spiritual what can I say, vitamins, minerals in the man, the batayin. I don't have time to explain all these. We'll see maybe if we have time. It's the man with a special, yes, a very special food. The Ramban also explains on this verse, we'll see this week in this parasha, how the earthly, the physicalization of this spiritual energy that feeds not just the body, that feeds the soul. And that was in the man. And that, they have to go from that to holy food, not that comes from the earth. The Chesed Abraham, which is not on the sheet. The Chesed Abraham, the grandfather, the great-grandfather of the Chidah, living in Hebron, buried in Hebron also. A book of, you could say, Kabbalah, deeper the understandings of the centrality of Eretz Yisrael and other things. He says there that he asks, why in Eretz Yisrael should be worse than it was in the desert? The spiritual food, the spiritual energy and vitamins that we received in the desert, and now it stops, and now we eat from the Eretz Yisrael. That's very nice, but that seems to be a loss. Now Eretz Yisrael is less holy than the receiving man from heaven, literally this bread, heavenly bread. He says, no. In the desert, it's not worthy to eat those fruits because they get the spirituality, that you nurture from the impurity of outside the land. But in Perot Eretz Yisrael, and therefore it has to come only from heaven, with no touch of the earth, right? It just comes from heaven. Omnam Perot Eretz Yisrael, the fruits of Eretz Yisrael, they come through Kedusha. And the same holiness, the same ruchniut, the same spirituality, the same spiritual vitamins. Ruchniut used to say vitamin K, a K, what do you think? Kedusha, right? Vitamin Kuf. The Kedusha, the same spirituality, the Chesed Avram writes, Rav Avram Azulai. The same holiness, spirituality that was in the man is mitlabesh beperot hakshem, dwells within the fruit of Eretz Yisrael. And therefore there was no need for the man to fall in Eretz Yisrael. Because here you have the same thing without it. There's another source. The Shara Chatzer, he says it's even more. And Eretz Yisrael is even more. That the spirituality, the fruits of Eretz Yisrael are even more holy than the man. Therefore, there's no need for it. But you see what you do have on your sheet, source number 6. We make the blessing, Nachon, after you have some cake. Want to offer some cake? You have no cake? No, you have Tu B'Shvat. You have some cake and you have some mezonot. There's the bracha achrona, right? Al mechiya val kalkala v'chulei. So there's an opinion. The Shulchan Aruch says that we say, you see in source number 6, right? We should eat from its fruits and satiated from its goodness. There's different versions there. This is the Tur Shulchan Aruch, right before the final version of the Shulchan Aruch by the Beit Yosef for the Rabbi Yosef Karo. But the Tur that organized all the laws according to these 4 sections of, what are the 4 sections of the laws, code of laws that we have? Orach Chaim, you have it here. Don't look. Choshen Mishpat is the torts and like legal, right? Yoredeh, like kashrut and nidah. And Even Ezra, the marriage and divorce. Here you see the Shulchan Aruch, and there you see the Tur next to it on the left. The Tur was the son of the Rosh. It combined all the law from the Talmudic sources, all the laws according to these topics. The Rambam did it also, like 14 books, different topics, but here the Tur divided all, and then the Beit Shulchan Aruch has the commentary on that, and ultimately he wrote his own, so to speak, the final edition, the final that he compiled the conclusions in the Shulchan Aruch based on the same 4 divisions. Nevertheless, so this is from the Tur Shulchan Aruch, Orach Chaim Reish Chet. There's laws of these blessings that we make.
This is coming from Chesed LaAvraham?
No. Now we're in the Tur, the Bach.
Okay.
This is the Bach. The Beit. You want to take out the Tur on the Orach Chaim there?
Yes.
Orach Chaim volume. Might be volume 2. I don't know. Take out 2 for now. Well, now and see. Where does it start? What siman does it start with?
It starts with siman Samech Gimel.
Okay, so I'll try that. Hopefully be in there, the Reish Chet. So this is the Tur, Shulchan Aruch. In Reish Chet, it's the laws of, what do you say, Samach? Shin. It starts with Shin.
In the top of the page.
Not the page, the laws, the siman of the Shulchan Aruch.
Got it.
So volume 1 we'll try now. Anyway, it's in 208. The he brings down the blessing, and he brings down his father's opinion, the Rosh. Sorry for the Rosh, right? His father, the Rabbeinu Asher. Like in the back of all the Gemarot, you have the Rosh that summarize or concluded the halakha conclusions of all the oral law, the Talmud, right? The back of every tractate, the Rosh. You have the Rif, the Rosh. Anyway, so his son organized it not according to the Gemarot each time, but to put them all together. From you have laws of brachot in one tractate and this tractate. It's all over. The oral law is all amazing, bringing proofs and sources from other places, but organizing it now to the practical law according to this topical organizing. And there are the laws of blessings. So he says on the 5 species that the land of Eretz Yisrael was praised with, Gefen, Teina, Rimon, Zayt, Tamara, B'chulei. We say afterwards the blessing. Where does he get to the blessing? Comes down the version of itself. Oh, it's a long thing. Al Eretz Chemda, Tova. So you have it in front of you, the quote that I wanted to show you. Anyway, he brings down the to say that we're blessing the land, or thank you God for the land, and that we eat from its fruits and be so happy. So he says there's one opinion, it says not to say that. We say, again, what you have in front of you, eat from its fruits and be satiated from its goodness. And now one should not say that. Because we shouldn't love the land and how do you say?
We had this with Rabbi.
You learned this already. Right, so we do it quickly. Okay, so we have a lot more to do. So just quickly for those who didn't hear. So we should praise the land, love the land because of its fruits. How do you say, gluttony? And the Bahag says to say, my father didn't say it. And there's an opinions you will see that he did say it. Okay, so here, the Bach on that, the Shulchan Aruch, what does he say? You heard that part of the Bach, right? It's a famous, that's why you probably heard it. What you have here, London, on number 4. The land of Israel is influenced by the influx of the holiness above, the supernal Eretz Yisrael, the supernal divine realm of holiness. The Shekhinah dwells in the land of Israel. And that is influenced also in its fruits, that nurture from the holiness of the Shekhinah. The fruits that grow in the land of Israel are nurturing, they absorb, are full of the holiness of the Shekhinah, the divine presence, Hashochen B'Kerev Haaretz, that dwells in the land. And then line number 9. Al-Kain Necha. Therefore, yes, it is good to say that we put in this blessing that we should eat from its fruits and be satiated from its good. Ki b'achilat peroteh, because in the eating of these fruits, anu nizonim, we are being satiated, we are being sustained. Miktushat Shekhinah, from the holiness of the divine presence and its purity that is in its these fruits. They're not stam fruits for the sake of filling your stomach. This fills your soul. This energizes your soul. Actually, there's so many sources. The Morok Tziyah of Yaakov Emden, you don't have that on your sheet, but on this law, on the Shulchan Aruch, he says certainly it's proper to say that. Even though you might think, we love Eretz Yisrael for its fruits, for the physicality, whatever. He says, yes, the perot of Eretz Yisrael, look what he writes here, the Morok Tziyah. Mosifim koach v'choma, they add strength and wisdom. Like it says in the Gemara Bava Batra, we'll see these sources soon, how the land of Eretz Yisrael makes wise. And he brings down this story that I'll bring you soon from the Gemara about Rav Yochanan, how he's eating the fruits, to tell us that these fruits give life to the nation upon it. They add spirituality and holiness. Another source, the Khatam Sofer, writes that the fruits of Eretz Yisrael, Mosifim Kedusha, they add Molidim Kedusha, they add holiness in the soul of he that eats them. The Khatam Sofer and Chulin. Mosifim Ahavav Zikut Hashem, they add love and cleavage to Hashem. Eating these fruits, they're so good, they're so tasty, and I should, whatever, it's very good. But no, you should know that it's not just that we're not praising God for that only. What we're eating, these fruits add holiness, add spirituality, and add love and connection to Hashem. Therefore, the love of the fruits of the land of Israel. I'll bring you that story that of the Moruk Tzia brings down. There's a book called Torah Lishma, written anonymously at a certain point, or at a certain point it was discovered who wrote it. The Ben Ish Chai. He wrote it. He signed it Yechezkel Kachli, not anonymously. He made a pen name. No one who knew what that was until they discovered it was the Ben Ish Chai. He writes, or there's a question as such. Question number 418. I was asked, or the question is, I am a servant of Hashem, and God merited me, and I kavati dirati. I live now in Eretz Yisrael, in the city of Tzfat. It should be built and grow. Not far from the city, a few hours away, yesh makom achad, yesh gam, not far away, that has pardisim, has vineyards and orchards. And there's very important fruits, and the tovim are very sweet and beautiful and mishubachim, very praiseworthy fruits, ma'od ma'od. That even according to the good fruits of the other places in the world, these have an advantage. They're even better than the best in the world. And I'm asking from your honor, your Rav Ben Ish Chai, if I want to go there for the time when these fruits are growing, ve'eshev sham, I'll sit there a few days in order to eat these fruits. Is there any pikpuk mibidar chasidut? Is there any doubt? Right? Any doubt here? Any, how do you say, of taking away deficiency from the measure of chasidut, of piety? In other words, is it not pious to do so, to go and sit to this place, go there a few hours away, sit there for a few days and eat the fruits? Is there a deficiency in my measure in the measure of piety to go there, to eat and get pleasure from the physical, the motorot haguf, the luxuries of the body? Because eating is seemingly a luxury of the body. Or maybe that it's permissible, even according to the measure of the Hasidim, in the righteous measure. Why? Because of the praise of Eretz Yisrael, that the fruits here of Eretz Yisrael, there's a mitzvah to go there to eat these fruits, the important fruits of Eretz Yisrael. Please teach me, your master, please teach me or give me the answer. And either the Ben Ish Chai answers him, even according to the measure of Hasidim, in a righteous measure, people that just want to be pious and then not gluttons that want to know if you're allowed to eat it. No forbidden to allowed to eat the fruits, but to go there to sit there. It's not that the most pious thing to spend your days you have other things to do. He says, even according to the measure of Hasidim, it is a worthy thing. There's no doubt, no pikpuk v'chashav, there's no doubt whatsoever. Because we found in the Gemara in Eruvin, I have it in English here. I'll read it. He brings the Gemara from Eruvin, what also the Rav Yaakov Emden brought down. I have so many sources here. The Eruvin, page 30, reads like this, that he's quoting. When I would follow, this is Rabbi Bar Chana says, when I would follow Rav Yochanan, right? Rav Yochanan was the author he redacted the Talmud Yerushalmi. I would go to Rav Yochanan to eat the fruits of Genosar. You know what Genosar?
It's a place nearby Tiberias.
Okay, the commentary here. Kinneret is Genosar. Why is it called Kinneret, if it's Genosar? Because its fruits are sweet like the sound of a harp, Kinnor. It's called Kinneret because of the fruits that are so sweet. That's in the Gemara and Megillah. In the area around Lake Kinneret, where exceptionally fine fruits grow. When we were 100 people accompanying Rav Yochanan, can you imagine? He goes there with this group of students, 100 students. Each one of us would take 10 fruits for him. We take these baskets of fruits, 10 fruits, 100 people. How many fruits? 1,000 fruits. When we were only 10 people accompanying him, each one of us would take 100 fruits. That would also have 1,000 fruits. Rabbi Yochanan would go to this place and sit there and have 1,000 fruits. every 100 of them, of these fruits, they were very large. Every 100 of them couldn't fit in a basket. These 100 fruits, not the 1,000, but the 100 of them, a tenth of them, couldn't fit in a basket of 3 seah. So what's a 3 seah? I did my homework. 3 seah, a seah is 8.3 liters. 3 seah is 25 liters. 1,000 of the fruits is 250 liters of fruits. So they would go to Rav Yochanan with this 250 liters of fruits, and Rav Yochanan would eat and eat them all, and still say, "I swear, you're still not full." The Gemara is talking about Yeruvin when about satisfying one's hunger, but he would go there and eat all these fruits.
Is the metaphor?
So that's what Rav getting back to maybe the Morok Tziyah, when he quoted that Gemara, and we see from the Gemara, he was the the Morok Tziyah is on the Shulchan Aruch that explains. He says the fruits of Eretz Yisrael add wisdom, etc. So he says the Gemara. You see the Gemara it's also in Brachot 42 and also in 44 and also in Eruvin. I quoted to you the astronomical whatever of eating of Rav Yochanan and his students. That seems like guzma. It seems like an exaggeration. But God forbid, they're not coming to tell their genut, their, is it the opposite of praise?
No,
What?
criticism.
Criticism. They're not coming to criticize them. Rav Yochanan, the Gemara is telling you, wow, 1,000 fruits of 250 liters of fruit, this is what they ate. This is what Rav Yochanan had to do. So the Gemara is not coming to tell you their negative, their bad traits. Ela b'shivcham. But rather in their praise, and the praise of Eretz Yisrael, they were telling you, to tell you that the fruits of Eretz Yisrael, like then he goes what I said to you, adds holiness and spirituality and goodness. That's why they're eating it. But now get with the Ben Ish Chai. So he brings down the same story. You see about eating the fruits of Eretz Yisrael, you see from the story of Rabbi Yochanan, that eating the fruits of, Rabbi Yochanan was very pious, very holy. We see how important it is, and he brings down this Gemara, that he ate these 1,000 fruits. Look there and see the Gemara. It's explicit that they used to go with Rabbi Yochanan and all of his students, 100 rabbis, from place to place to eat these sweet and good fruits, and all of their going there was bishvil zeh, was for that, to eat the fruits. They didn't go to study that happened to be fruit trees. They went with these 1,000 fruits. Therefore, it is clear from the wording there. And certainly they intended to do so because of chivuv Eretz, just like the Morok Tziyah says. They did it for the praise, for the love, out of the love of Eretz Yisrael and its fruits, to eat from its fruits, the sweet and beautiful fruits of Eretz Yisrael. L'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven, to eat these fruits. And like we said, the Chatam Sofer and others, also the Chatam Sofer talks about the mitzvah to bring out the fruits of Eretz Yisrael, that the working of the land of Eretz Yisrael bring out its fruits. Mishum Eretz Yisrael otzi peroteach tushim, to bring out the mitzvah of Eretz Yisrael and also the bringing out its holy fruits. The fruits of Eretz Yisrael, like we said before, have the minerals above what either the same or more than the man, the spiritual energy. They're not just, again, pretty fruits. Go in the shuk and appreciate now what you're eating there. It's something totally different dimension, the vitamin K, kedusha in those fruits. Certainly these people, these rabbis were chassidim and holy people. We see that this is from the measure of holiness, piety, and there's no doubt whatsoever. There's no fear of lacking deficiency in the piety in doing this. And since you're asking this question, certainly your intentions are l'shem shamayim. You're not going there just for the pleasure. You're going there because you're worried about if it should be in the sake of heaven, for the honor of Eretz Yisrael, and to thank God on the land of the Eretz Yisrael and its fruits, the good fruits, that you should go there and eat and everything, enjoy, etc. Yechezkel Kachli, or the Ben Ish Chai. There's I'll just tell you a few stories of rabbis. Everyone been to Tzfat? Anyone? The Bat Ayin, you heard of the Bat Ayin? You've heard of the place. But Rav Avram Dov Me'avrich, one of the holy Hasidic, and he came to Eretz Yisrael, and he took upon himself that he would not eat anything other than the fruits of Eretz Yisrael. The problem was there was a Batzoret, and there was a famine, whatever, in Tzfat. Not only in Tzfat, but the people of Tzfat had no choice, and they had to bring wheat from outside of Israel. So they're all eating the wheat, the bread from the wheat that they brought. But Rav Avram Dov, the Bat Ayin, refused to do so, saying only eat what grows in Eretz Yisrael. And he brought a proof for his actions here, his approach. It says when the Jews would come out, I think of the Shemitah, right, the 7 years, to leave the seventh year fallow, not to work the land. So what was the question? Then the Torah says, Ma nochal, what will we eat in the seventh year? If we don't plant, nothing to eat. So the Torah says, don't worry, the sixth year will give enough fruit for the 3 years, right? For the sixth, for the seventh, and for the eighth, until the new field, the crops come in. He says, why does the Torah have to give you this blessing that the sixth year will give enough for the next years? Why doesn't it say, go out? What do you mean, what do you eat? There's food across the border here. Go to, there's wheat from outside the land. There's Shemitah, you're not allowed to, you're allowed to eat bread, wheat from outside. The Shemitah is the laws of not, you're allowed to plant and harvest here, but here, what about, he says, why can't you eat from the wheat? You bring from what we do, that is, how do you say, imported wheat. He says, rather you see from this that the Torah is teaching you that a Jew should only eat from the fruit of Eretz Yisrael. There's a story of Rabbi Eliyahu, right, the chief rabbi, previous chief rabbi that lived down the block.
Chief Rabbi Israel?
Israel. I've never heard of Mordechai Eliyahu.
Oh, Mordechai Eliyahu.
His son, Shmuel Eliyahu, is the chief rabbi of Tzfat.
Yeah,
his grandson is a member of Knesset, Amichai Eliyahu. Yes, in Kabbalah, very big, very special. Passed away a few years ago. I lived in the building with him a few years. Very special. Once upon a time, Rabbi Eliyahu went to America for to the chizuk, to teach, and he spoke about the importance of Eretz Yisrael. During the meal that they made for him, someone brought out these big olives, and they said to him, Your Honor, you should taste these olives that grow here. We also have good fruits, not only in Eretz Yisrael. We also, look what we can do here. I mean, we have these fruits from America that can compete with Eretz Yisrael. He says, Rav Eliyahu says, they want to use these olives to minimize the honor of Eretz Yisrael. I refuse to eat them. But he saw everyone's eating them and getting great pleasure from them. These are amazing olives. They're going around. Everyone's, what olives, great. He took the can of olives and he saw on it that it says here, made in Kfutzat Yavne, in Eretz Yisrael. That's where I came when I came first to Israel for a year from kibbutz. I thought I was coming just for a year. I ended up realizing what Eretz Yisrael was. That's what I'm passing on to you, I just came as an innocent, 1 year in Israel. So I was on kibbutz for a year. In kibbutz Kfutzat Yavne, I actually picked the olives and worked in the matah. So he said, so he understood that no one else noticed that it was from Eretz Yisrael. He says, you know what? He says to them all, oh, you guys are so praising it, maybe I will give a taste of these olives. And he goes, wow, bemet, they're good. He said, but it can't be that these olives are from Chutz La'aretz. They must be from Eretz Yisrael. He says to the man who told him, you eat them. He says, wait, what does it say on the can? Can you read what it says there? No. First, the other guy says to him, you see, the Rav, I told you that in Chutz La'aretz there's also Gdilim Dvarim Temi. There's also outside the land of Israel things that are very tasty, not only in Eretz Yisrael. So then Rabbi Eliyahu says, okay, so take the can, whatever. What does it say there? And he says, Kfutzat Yavne, made in Eretz Yisrael. So he says to him, if you love these olives so much, they're so tasty, come to Eretz Yisrael. She raises for you these very good and sweet, not sweet in this case, but very good, tasty fruits. Mamash b'shilcha, for you. Bo ha'aretz mechaka lecha, the land of Israel is waiting for you. Tell that guy. He thought he would show him the Eretz Yisrael. We don't need it. We can have the fruits here. It turns out they're from Eretz Yisrael. Tell a lot of stories. Maybe a few more minutes we have for the significance of what you have. Number 7 is what I read to you before, of the Chatam Sofer on his Navele on Sukkah, page 36. Actually, this was censored. In some versions, you don't find it anymore. So, for some reason,
You're really very slow because in the Rashi, it's.
Anyway, it says here that there's an argument, Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, if one should just learn Torah or also work the land, and Asafta Diganecha, gather your fruit, like we say in Kriyat Shema, Asafta Diganecha, gather your fruit. So Rabbi Yishmael, when he says that, talking about Eretz Yisrael, the Chatam Sofer explains the value. In other words, working the land is a value in Eretz Yisrael. Why? In line number 13, what I read to you before. Because working the land of Eretz Yisrael is a mitzvah, fulfills the mitzvah of Eretz Yisrael, and to bring out its holy fruits. And just like one shouldn't say, I won't put on tefillin because I'm learning Torah. Right? You don't say, there's no time to learn to put on tefillin. Bitul Torah, you have to learn 24 hours a day. There's no time to put on tefillin. That's a mitzvah, it's an obligation. You have to put on tefillin. Yes, you're supposed to stop and do the mitzvot. The Torah itself tells you to do the mitzvot. So just like someone shouldn't say, I don't have time, I'm too busy learning, I can't put on tefillin. So too, the Chatam Sofer says, Lo yomar, lo esof dagani mipnei asik. I won't work the field, I won't plant the field, I won't gather the fruits because I'm too busy learning Torah. In other words, he equates it with tefillin. In other words, the value of Eretz Yisrael, as we'll see in other places, that the physicality, the materialism in Eretz Yisrael is holy. Like I said, the Shekhinah dwells in the land of Israel, as we saw. The land is something that sustains the man, feeds your body, the fruits, etc. But it also, the Shekhinah in the land sustains and satisfies and then satiates and then supports the neshama, the spiritual side. Like it says in Yeshayahu, Notei neshama l'amalah, give the neshama to the people in this land. The special neshama, the Shekhinah that dwells in the land of Israel. When you eat the fruits, like the Bach said, the fruits are imbued with that holiness of the Shekhinah. So here you're also elevating the soul, like the Rav Kaven and the Chatam Sofer and other places. But what about the value of the planting in Eretz Yisrael? So you see source number, maybe we'll start with number 2. Not much time. Source number 2 on the sheet from the Midrash Tanchuma. If you can read it, line number 1, 2, and 3. Ki tavo el haaretz uletatem, right? Usually in Vayikra. You shall come to the land and plant. God says to Israel, even though you find it full of good, you come to the land and it's full of the Arabs or other people already planted there. So the whole thing of planting is just to get the fruits, no? So, but he says, no, even though you find it full of fruits, lo tomru nesheh velo nita, we should sit, we don't have to plant. Fruits are available, just go to the market and buy, ready-made, we don't have to work, no? Ela havu zihirim b'nitiyot. You should plant, be meticulous on planting. Itself is an act of, like the Chatam Sofer said, it's a part of working the land of Israel, settling on it. We'll see why it's so significant, but it's important in of itself, not just to get the fruits. Planting in Eretz Yisrael is a holy act, for it says in the Tatem Kol Eitz Machal, you should plant the tree. Like it's so, because why is it so important? The Or Chaim, I'll bring later. No, one other law. I don't think you have it on the sheet. There's a law based on the Gemara in Bava Metzia. The law is like this. It's also in the Shulchan Aruch Hoshem Mishpat. It says if a river comes, I don't know, there's a storm, and this, like not a flood, but a river takes someone's olive trees. It uproots them and flows downhill, I guess, into another guy's field and replants the olive tree. It's uprooted in this guy's field and ends up in someone else's field. And the owner says, give me my olive tree. You saw it came last night, or the river. I give you mine. Ein shomim, you don't listen to him in Eretz Yisrael. If it's in the land of Israel, you don't listen to him. You don't give him back his fruits. Why? The Shulchan Aruch says, Mishum Mishuv Eretz Yisrael. Mishum, because of the development of Eretz Yisrael. What's the development of Eretz Yisrael? So the rabbis explained, the Beit Yosef, and also the Sma, the commentaries on the Shulchan Aruch, that if you don't give him back his tree, then, let's start with the other thing. If you give it back, you take out his tree, and he'll replant it because he had a tree before, and that's what he wanted, these olive trees, so he'll put in his thing. But this guy who didn't have olive trees isn't going to plant another tree. But if you don't uproot it, this guy will leave it, you have a tree now, and this guy will plant another tree because he wants olives, so he'll plant another tree. But now we have an extra tree in Eretz Yisrael, and that the law is that we add one more tree in Eretz Yisrael is fulfilling the mitzvah of developing the land of Israel, how important that is, and the guy has to pay him. the monetary value, but you shouldn't uproot the tree because he says, the rabbis explained that, Beit Yosef, that if you uproot it, this guy isn't going to replant it. He didn't have olives in the first place, so he's not interested. But if he has it, he'll now leave it there. And the other guy isn't, he'll plant it. So now we have an extra tree that is added in the world, in Eretz Yisrael. And Mishum Vishuv Eretz Yisrael, that's very important. The question is, why is that so important? Even also another source, in the Avot Rabbi Natan, it says, if they tell you the Mashiach has come, and you're out going to plant, I'll read you the verse. You had a sapling that you're about to plant, a tree, and they say to you, Harei Mashiach, the Mashiach has come. What would you do? Mashiach, spirituality, holiness, the light of God is now revealed in the world, the goodness, and you're planting trees. You throw it down. What? That's materialism, physicality. What is that value of that? That's so... Throw it away and run to the Mashiach. Run to the ultimate, the spiritual ideal of creation being fulfilled. Now you have planting and material, agricultural activities. The rabbis say, again, Avot Rabbi Natan, chapter 31, Bo netata netiyat tchila v'achar kach tzevach bilo. First plant a tree, finish planting, and then go receive the Mashiach. And Rav Druckmann and others explained how it's not two different things. The planting of the tree is facilitates the coming of the Mashiach. The physical building of Eretz Yisrael enables the dwelling of the Shekhinah, dwelling of God, to bring down and to hasten and advance the coming of the Mashiach. No, they're not two different things. That's the foundation, the physical building of Eretz Yisrael. Because the land of Israel is called holy, right? Terra Sancta even. The holy land is physical. Holy is holy. But Eretz Yisrael, the holy land, the land itself is holy. Like we saw, the Shekhinah is in the land. And the fruits that come out of it are also holy. And planting the trees in Eretz Yisrael have this spiritual significance of and meaning and importance. So much so you see the first source on the sheet in Breshit Rabbah, also the Midrash, Chazal tell us in line number 4. Don't go down to Egypt, be in the land, dwell in the land. Even there was a famine, right? He says not to go down. What does it mean, Shchon Ba'aretz? So the rabbis say, give two opinions. I say Shchuna B'Eretz Yisrael, build a community, build a settlement, build a neighborhood in Eretz Yisrael. In other words, build the land, the physical side of Eretz Yisrael. Havi Zorah, Havi Anatzuv. In other words, be a planter, be a seeder. It's written in the context of the person that does it. Havi Zaroa, like someone who is a planter or someone who plants trees or seeds or, Ilanot. Or right. Okay. The other opinion says, Shchon Ba'aretz, Shakein et HaShechina Ba'aretz. Plant, in other words, bring the Shekhinah to the land of Israel. And again, Rabbi Druckmann explained, there's not two different, it's like two sides of the same, there's not two different, opposing opinions, but complementary opinions. How do you make the Shekhinah in Eretz Yisrael? By building the neighborhood in Eretz Yisrael, building the physical basis and foundation that enables the Shekhinah to come and be revealed in this world. That's our whole goal in the world, right? To bring down God's name, the spiritual ideal, the universal grand plan of creation, that holy, transcending oneness and goodness of God, to manifest it in this world, right? L'kadesh shimcha ba'olam, that we say. Or like in the Aleinu L'Shabeach, l'takein olam b'malchut, to fix this world in God's kingdom. Or the rabbis say in the Tanchum also, that God wishes to have his dirah b'tachtonim, right? This chapter in Tanya elaborates on it. To bring down the Shekhinah in the Tachtonim, in this world. Shekhinah, the divine presence in the heavenly bowl, but the goal is to create the world to manifest it in the what seems to be devoid of all that, to illuminate this world, the physical. And Eretz Yisrael has that capacity to do so, to unify the physical and the spiritual, the heaven and earth. To build a neighborhood in Eretz Yisrael, that is what brings down the Shekhinah to the land. And that's why planting the land in Eretz Yisrael is what brings that about. But the question is, what's the significance of the planting itself? If it's not just the fruits we said are holy and special and have vitamin K, kedusha, whatever, holiness. So you see source number 3, in also the Midrash Rabbah in Vayikra. Line number 1. Acharei Hashem Elokechem telechu. You should go after God. You should go after the measure of, to emulate God. The question, how can you emulate God? How you can go in his steps? How can you, can flesh and blood go after God? And they bring all these verses that God is beyond, God transcending. What do you need to follow God, to be like him? How can human, finite beings be like the absolute, infinite, etc. So line number 7. So all these sources that say that God is above and beyond, and you say Boti Pakun and cleave to God, how can you cleave to God? So the different sources talk about. The Gemara says that also, just like God is merciful, you be merciful, God gives charity, God is visits the sick. In other words, being good, God is good, and you should emulate Him by also going his to go in His ways is to do good, to be a good person, to be. What the Gemara again in different places, different characteristics, so to speak. What God does this, but here, what does the Midrash say? Ela mitchilat briato shelolam. At the beginning of creation, what did God do first? Lo nitasek hakodesh baruch hu ela b'matat tchila. The first thing God did was planting. That's what it says in Bereshit chapter 2. Vayita Hashem Elokim gan be'eden mikedem. That the first thing God did was planting in the Gan Eden. Right? He planted in Gan Eden. Afatem, and therefore you also. Kishenichnasim la'aretz. That when you enter the land, lo titasku ela b'matat tchila. The first thing you should do, is to plant. In other words, the planting in Eretz Yisrael is a sort of emulating the divine. That's what God does. Again, His planting is not the physical, not the word, whatever. In other words, the divine planting and creation, but the verse, the used terminology
this is
planting.
the ideology of all the kibbutzim and
Halavai, that should be their reasoning. Halavai, that should
originally, I mean, this is
the worship of the land. Gordon, the worship, not the worship, the serving the land, like the how do you say, admata avodat adama, right? Unfortunately, they saw it. Unfortunately, sometimes disconnected from the divine. In other words, they saw the working of itself of the physical, which we said has a stage of this process. When you come back, being so spiritual outside of Israel, worshiping God only in the spiritual realm, not having agriculture, government, army, and the reality. So, in the absence of that, you become the focus on the spiritual. When we come back, then there's a cleaving to the land, and now we work in the physical. Sometimes you forget it's the manifestation of the Shekhinah, of divine presence, of divine good. So they grab the other side, they go to the other extreme. Rav Kook talks about this pendulum. You go from the super spirituality to overextension to the physical side, in exclusive, as if, unfortunately, some of them said in the name of only the land and only the physical. We don't need the God and the spirituality. But the truth is, the physicality here brings down the Shekhinah, which ultimately will come back to the balance, the middle of the pendulum, so to speak, comes to the middle of recognizing, hopefully what you said, they'll come to the recognition that what they're doing, what they did, was indeed the bringing down the Shekhinah to this world, was connecting this world to the spiritual, was manifesting this ultimate spiritual, infinite ideal in the physicality. But by how? By doing it, like you said, by being in the land. And not only this, here it's considered that you're following the footsteps of God, walking in His way, just like He planted. So too, also, when the first thing you do to come to the land, you should plant. For it says, "Ki tavol haaretz u'natatem." You come to the land, u'natatem kol eitz machal. On that verse, actually, there are those that used to criticize the Keren Kayemet, what you just mentioned, like on Tu B'Shvat, and the slogan was to "Ki tavol haaretz u'natatem." The verse says you should come to the land and plant. But the verse doesn't. I mean, it says that, but the verse is.
You guys know Kaplan?
Keren Kayemet, at least, so they're planting the trees.
Yeah, plant the forests and the trees.
So here it says, the verse goes in Vayikra, says like this: you should come to the land and plant the fruit trees, and there'll be orla for the first 3 years, and then you shouldn't eat. In the 4th year, it's pre-holy. You should only eat the netarava. You should eat the Yerushalayim, and then the 5th year you can eat it. So it sounds like they, or those that criticize it, said it's taking the verse out of its context. You should come to Israel and plant. It said you should come to the land and plant. And when you do so, the first 3 years are forbidden to eat the fruits. The 4th year, you have to eat Yerushalayim. The 5th year, now you can now eat the fruits. So in other words, as if the beginning is just the preconditions. It's just when you come and when you plant, it's just an introduction to the law of Orla. The first 3 years, the fruits are forbidden. But as we saw, the rabbis say here, they bring down this verse, you should come to the land and plant. Also the Kedoshim in verse source number 2 in the Midrash Tanchuma. When you should come to the land, even though you find the land full of plenty, whatever, you should plant. For it says, in other words, it's a commandment. But more explicitly, Orach Chaim HaKadosh on this verse says there's 3 mitzvot here. When you come to the land, that's the first mitzvah, to be in Eretz Yisrael. 2, lintoa, to plant. The second thing, unatatem. Indeed, it's an independent mitzvah to the important significance of planting. And the third thing is the laws that extend from that of having the 3 years of Orla. In other words, it's not like a taking out of its context. You make it like the when you come and when you plant, and if you plant, then there's a law of Orlah. No, the Or Chaim reads it, and the Chazal read it. There's a mitzvah, there's an independent value of planting. The verse is read, when you come to the land, you should plant. And now when you plant, there's also laws regarding those trees of when you can eat the fruits. So maybe just end up with this other divine planting that it says in Amos, chapter 9. It says, "V'lo yinatshu od me'al admatam asher natati." No, where's the verse about the planting? That God will plant you on the land. It is Amos number 9. I think days are coming, and I will return your refuge, your exiled captives from and you'll build these desolate cities. V'yeshvu unetanu, and you shall plant your orchards, and drink the wine, and make fields and gardens, and eat the fruits. Unetatem al admatam, and atatim, and I will plant you on your land. We plant, but our planting is, so to speak, is a continuation of the divine plant. Or you could say our planting is it's fulfillment of the divine planting, that God plants you in the land, v'lo yinatshu, and you will not be exiled from then, like there's no third exile after we come back now. Rabbi Tanchuma Shoftim number 9, paragraph 9 says you come back the third time. First you go out, exile. The second time you go out and exile. The third time you come back, there's no going back. So now you should know we're here to stay. And it says here, that's the verse here, you will not be exiled again, but here God will plant you on the land. In other words, so our planting, or the divine planting, is fulfilled by our planting, our settling in the land of Israel. So B'ezrat Hashem, you should enjoy the Tu B'Shvat and appreciate the planting, if you do so, or also the eating of the fruits, the holy fruits of Eretz Yisrael, knowing that you're being energized with not just glutton, how do you say, enzyme, whatever, but there's also special nutrients, spiritual nutrients and minerals there, like what Brookman, the vitamin Kuf, vitamin K, Kedusha, the holiness, that it adds holiness and cleavage to Hashem. But that's much more, but don't go to Mincha.